Let's go Red River shootout here. Oklahoma 4-1, Texas 5-0. Steve Sarkisian said he feels good about Quinn Ewers' availability to start this football game.
All right, here we go. Quinn's going to play. You have to assume, obviously, they've been kind of resting him. Not that they wanted him to sit out, but this was a very convenient part of the schedule for Quinn Ewers to maybe take a couple weeks and then have a bye week added on top of that. I don't think there should have been any fan base that is more excited about what they saw last weekend than Texas is. Probably you could say Ohio State's, but I still think we know more about Texas when they're fully healthy. Here's why this game would scare me if I'm a Texas fan. Oklahoma was able to sneak that win out against Auburn, but the expectations outside of the fan base, I know Oklahoma fans are going to have high expectations regardless, and they should, this is Texas's year, right? And Oklahoma, y'all are going to be fine in the long run, but this is Texas's year to come to the SEC and possibly win it and then make the college football playoff. So really, in reality, especially after Brent Venables beat them last year, Oklahoma's kind of playing with a little bit of more house money here. I think they're going to play a little bit more free. I think this is Danny Stutzman's last time to take a shot at these guys, and I think the Hawkins Jr. kid's got some moxie to him at quarterback that can keep them around in this game. The question becomes, will you be able to score enough for the couple times where Texas is going to hit you because Steve Sarkisian is their coach and they still have weapons on the outside that can hurt you and the running backs are a little bit further along? It will be a line of scrimmage game because it is always a line of scrimmage game. But, David, when I look at this Texas team playing Oklahoma and I see that 14 and a half point spread, it makes me like Oklahoma more and more. But how, if you are Oklahoma, are you going to be able to find balance offensively against the Texas defense that, in my opinion, is top 5 in the country?
Okay, I'm approaching this one a little bit differently. Almost everything you're saying is how I felt about this game last year. Okay, which is why when we did our pick 'em at the very end, I decided to take Oklahoma, which ended up being the right pick. Talk about Dylan Gabriel. That was one of his best game-winning drives late in the game in Red River Shootout last year. Couple things to keep in mind. Remember, this is always a neutral site game. So this is going to be in Dallas. No one's going to have home field advantage, even though it will be in the state of Texas. The 14 right now, it feels right to me. And I mean, Quinn Ewers, obviously, we can ask the same question that we asked about Lenora Sellers a week ago. Is he coming back at 95%? Is he coming back at 75%? Because obviously that's a big difference. I just feel like this Texas team is so focused right now. And a part of it is what I said to you guys when Steve Sarkisian was on the field after they blew Michigan out the first time they ever went to the big house in Ann Arbor. It was almost like he didn't even smile. It was almost like in his press conference after, like that was just another stepping stone on what we're really trying to accomplish. And I think there's several things that feed into that. The loss to Washington last year in the college football playoff, not accomplishing their goals when they had a really good team and roster last year. I think this team is really focused. Obviously, I want to check and see what the status of Quinn Ewers is before the game, but I like Texas, and I like Texas big in this one.
Nothing would shock me, and Blaine, to get kind of to piggyback a little bit off what David was saying, if Oklahoma didn't win last year and maybe Texas had routed them last year, I think there could be a chance for Oklahoma not to sneak up on them because it's a rivalry game, but kind of feel that magic in the air. But let's not pretend like Texas doesn't remember what happened the season before. They're going to have this one circled just like they have winning a conference championship circled, just like they have winning a national championship circled, and that's what they think this team can do.
Well, I look at it like this. If you go back to last year's game, what's one crazy stat that you can bring up? What hurts defenses like this, especially Texas?
A running quarterback.
Dylan Gabriel had 115 yards rushing last year. Last time I played. DG's not going to be out there. We obviously know he's a quarterback at Oregon. But this Hawkins kid can do anything. He can run the damn football. And he does a game or two. Do I think Texas is going to win this football game? I do. I think they're a better team. I think Quinn Ewers, if starting, which we all know he is and can stay healthy, he still threw for 350, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. But I think this rivalry is built into where Oklahoma will keep it close.
Yeah.
Right? This doesn't feel like a 14-point game to me. It feels like a 10-point game to me, maybe a late field goal. I don't know if this rivalry will let Texas just beat up on Oklahoma with the seniors they're bringing back on defense with Stutzman. There's going to be some growing pains at quarterback. We know that. But I do think the defense for Oklahoma will keep them in this football.
And the matchup of Steve Sarkisian's offensive mind versus Brent Venables' defensive mind is just, you're not going to get anything better than that, really. And these two guys know each other, have a good idea of what they want to do. Watch for the running back and on wheel routes. We talked about that for Alabama, Georgia. But I do want to say this about Dylan Gabriel. I think one of the reasons, and going back and remembering that game last year, that Dylan Gabriel was so effective running the ball is because he was so deadly throwing it, right? I feel like at this point in time that Texas was way more worried about Dylan Gabriel beating them with his arm than they were with his legs, and it ended up costing him at the end, including in overtime, I believe, or at the end of the game, where Dylan Gabriel led that long drive. Do you think Hawkins is far enough along as a passer to make Texas say, you know what? We don't have to really play you even. We can maybe put an extra spy, maybe do a little bit about what Georgia did to Jalen Milroe in Alabama, as opposed to, oh no, Dylan Gabriel can give us the slow death or the quick death. Let's make him give us the slow death. Are you worried about that?
I think you could look at it, either way. And
how healthy is Oklahoma?
Yeah, I think only Hawkins be able to run the ball is going to help him in the pass game because it's going to give you what? It's going to give you one-on-one matchups. And I think Oklahoma's receivers are good enough to win one-on-one matchups. You're going to have to
healthy.
Yeah, if they're healthy, obviously. But you're going to have to respect Oklahoma in the run game, especially from the quarterback, and that makes you do what? It makes you add an extra hat to the box. Is he an elite thrower? No, I don't think he is. But I think certain situations and circumstances dictates how good you'll be able to throw the ball. And as a quarterback standpoint, I'm sure David can agree with this, I would so much rather have man coverage one-on-one with the athletes I have to help me be able to throw the football.
Now, what happens if Quinn Ewers, let's just say he doesn't play in the game at all, or he comes in for a drive and things just aren't looking, good. He's still too banged up to go for the full game, and Arch Manning has to come back in. How does that change the entire dynamic of this game?
Well, if you're Steve Sarkisian, you can say that nothing changes all you want, but you're going to know in the back of your head that who's in there in the situation, regardless of what his last name is. He's still a young player in a very vulnerable situation that if you're vulnerable, Venables is going to take advantage of it and try and confuse you. But this is why, again, you've given Arch is taking real life work, right? Real life snaps. He's now the competition wasn't great, but Mississippi State put some game pressure on him. But it's not close to what it's going to be like against this Oklahoma team, this Oklahoma defense led by Danny Stutzman and some guys that have played a lot of football and understand the level of player mentally that they're going up against compared to a guy like Quinn Ewers that has a ton of experience. But we talk about the importance of starts, guys, and getting off to a good start. If Oklahoma gets off to a good start in this game and Texas lets them hang around in that first half, with that Hawkins kid, he's got some witch in him, I could tell.
He's a gamer.
He's a gamer.
And here's another thing going for Oklahoma on that point right there is when you really look at the opponents that Texas has played so far, there are still a lot of unknowns. We didn't, especially for Texas on defense, because I didn't get to see a lot of what they were capable of doing because of Michigan's offense was so inept. They played Mississippi State, they played UTSA, Colorado State. They haven't really been challenged. I think Oklahoma can at least come in and say, okay, yeah, y'all have better skill position players than us in a couple areas, but this is still one of the greatest rivalries in the country. Let's really get down and dirty and see if y'all can really finish a game strong after you've really played something.
Yeah. To your point, Oklahoma is pretty battle tested too. Say what you want, but that game against Tennessee, you saw. I know Tennessee lost to Arkansas, but it's not like they were bad players running around. You gave yourself a chance in that game at home. Went on the road and were able to come back and beat Auburn. So this team's been through different scenarios with Hawkins Jr. there, and we'll see how healthy the wide receivers are. I think you obviously want everybody at full go as much as they possibly could be, but if you don't have Andrell and you don't have Nick and those guys and Dion, I just don't see how for 4 quarters you can be that much better than Texas and be able to win the game. Hey, YouTube, what's up? If you don't mind, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, turn that notification bell on. It's going to get crazy here if we've entered the halfway point of college football season. We appreciate you being here.